Hi, folks. You are watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media on all of our channels and networks and platforms. I'm Mike Morales here in Southern California. That gentleman out there is.
I'm Bryce Taylor out of Austin, Texas.
For those of you who are, savvy folks on Instagram and probably YouTube and Facebook, Bryce is the Austin Tequila Connoisseurs. That's his handle. That's his club, and you may be familiar with him. He's also one of our recent graduates at the Catador course, the Consumer Catador course. So we are going to throw the kitchen sink at Bryce, but we're both looking forward to it because if you see these bottles behind us, we are going to taste and dissect Curado. This is I'm so looking forward to it. And I've known about this brand for a while, but Bryce, I thought it was already in the United States. And you told me you had it before?
So I had it last year at Arte Agave in Austin. And then I've seen it in stores for probably the last year here in Austin as well. But I think we were one of the earlier markets.
Well, it makes sense. Texas usually is an easy way to get it's usually one of the first ones to get it, if not California. I had seen this bottle in Europe, apparently, and have been asking for it. I finally got a hold of somebody on the Spanish Instagram from Spain about this, and they contacted a gentleman. I'm going to give his name. He's Vanguard is the importer here in the U.S. And Dan Butler was the guy who made this happen. I appreciate that because I've been chasing it for about a year. I didn't know. I thought there were so many of these tequilas that I thought it was available. What I did know is that this is the last project that Tomas Estes and Carlos Camarena were working on. So I think what we're going to do is just taste the juice first, then we'll go into the stats and stories. It's a very interesting story. I broke the seal off of mine just off camera because it's not fun for me to struggle with it for 20 minutes.
I know. It always makes you look.
Well, it makes me look like a
Yeah, I've done
like
it.
what I am. So here we go. You'll notice, folks, technically this is considered an infused tequila, all right? Because it's not going to be clear. It starts off with 100% Blanco, 100% blue agave. It is the Blanco tequila, but it is like a pale straw color. And I poured mine in Estazo Jarrito, and so did Bryce. And
Yep.
That's what I want to see. I want to see what kind of legs and tears we're going to get, because I get the feeling that this is going to have some great mouthfeel.
Oh yeah. Yeah, mine's just sticking. It's barely moving.
Wow.
There we go. Yeah, I'm assuming it's going to be pretty viscous and dense, which I really like.
Yeah, because there are Blanco tequilas like Don Pilar. Don Pilar is a agavero, and his Blanco tequilas are like chewy, like you want to eat it. Instead of just drink it. And I'm hoping for this because you said this is coming out of the new distillery.
Los Alambiques, so Carlos Camarena's new distillery. And so right now it's going to be Ocho, also the Estes family, involved in Ocho, and now the Curado.
Yeah, there they go. Wow. Yeah, their legs and tears are taking their sweet time to actually stream. Oh, okay. Oh, by the way, the one we're trying today is it's infused with blue agave. So it's 100% blue agave tequila infused with blue agave, and we'll explain how they actually do the infusion.
And so even here, on the back of it might be backwards, but it tells you where the agave that they use to infuse it comes from. So this one obviously came from Carlos Camarena, so up there in the highlands of Arandas.
So the agave is Arandina. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. This is really, I'm now it's a bright, it's like heavy fruit.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's very dense. I mean, you get the agave, but not on the sharp side. It's more rounded and like the heavier, dense, thicker notes.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily smell like baked. It's, I don't know what I want to say, caramelized, maybe.
I kind of get that because there's a sweetness, there's a sugary, but like baked sugar, not raw sugar. There's also a spiciness to it. Baking, like light baking spices, fragrant.
Which is really unusual because this is not aged in any kind of barrel. This is
No,
just
it's still a
Blanco
Blanco.
infused.
Just mhm.
Yeah. But really bright notes. I'm not getting any like blossomy notes. Like it's not flowery. It's denser than that. It's
Right.
yeah. It's a good amount of alcohol as well. I mean, it's good to have that. The alcohol is presenting the nose. It's not as complex as I thought it would be, which is okay. That's all right.
Yeah. Yeah, there's two or three main notes that I think kind of stick out, and they're all very dense.
Yeah.
But they're all pretty true. Every time I nose it, I kind of get those same notes.
Well, I'm dying to dive in. You want to just dive in? Let's see if we get into
Yeah.
this. So let's try it. Mm. 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 Wow. Wow.
Yeah. It's 80 proof, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 80 proof.
It's reacting like it's a little bit higher though, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely that first sip. So yeah, a lot of agave. The baked agave is definitely in the flavor, which would make sense because it's a Blanco and then infused with, more cooked agave. It's spicy, which is really nice.
Yes. Great lip and gum numbness too. I mean, the white pepper just everything flows nicely. And what a nice long finish too, man. That's a finish that keeps on giving too.
Yeah. And the spiciness I get is actually like, I'm talking about actual spices, not the kind of pepper and burn. Like it doesn't manifest itself as heat, just flavorful.
One of the techniques that I like that was shown to me, my first trip to a distillery, we stopped at La Cofradia, and Dave Ian, who I consider one of my mentors. One of the things that this was before tours were a thing, but he wanted to make sure there was a big group of us. There was 35 of us who had never met, right? So we're all together. He's taking us through La Cofradia. We get in and he says, have you guys ever had, baked agave? Ever tasted it? No. So we all had, at that point, we all had snifters of Casa Noble Blanco, which at the time it was one of the first organic tequilas out there. And the best way to imprint in your olfactory senses what baked agave is like, if you can't describe it, if you've never had it, is if you're there, you take that wedge of agave, the baked agave, and not only do you chew on it or suck on it, it's difficult to try to eat it. I mean, at the time it was literally a wedge. He said, take this wedge, dip it in your Blanco, and then suck the tequila off of it. This is the closest thing to that technique.
Yeah.
That will really imprint to you what the baked agave is like. I think this is so straightforward that if you were to tell somebody, and I get this question a lot, especially with some of the other students for the consumer catador course, what's baked agave taste like or smell like? And I say, well, you can smell it. It smells like, to me, it smells like pumpkin pie. Some people say it's sweet potatoes. It's not, to me. It's pumpkin pie, really thick in the air. But what does it taste like? I say this is the closest thing without having to actually get a wedge or go to Mexico, because you can't, unless you're in northern central California, it's hard to get a wedge of baked agave of any sort.
Right. Yeah, I've always had a hard time doing that because, unless you go to the distillery and you chew on the agave or the very center of it, you can eat. But yeah, this on the nose definitely is the closest you're going to get.
As a matter of fact, this would be a great one to demonstrate to people by pouring it in their hand. You know how we do that? Sometimes we'll pour it in the hand, you diffuse the alcohol in and smell it in cupping it in your hand. That would be probably, this one here would be the best example. I think it's a great tool. I mean, not only is it's a good tequila, but it's a great tool, right?
Right. I wouldn't have thought of it that way, but yeah, I'm totally on board with that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to make sure I have a bottle of this with me all the time, because, you're going to get that question. I got it. You get it all the time. When we demonstrate tequila to other people, these are people that may never get to a distillery,
Right.
And what does it smell like? What does it taste like? This is it right here.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's deep notes too. I really enjoy the depth of the nose. It's one-sided, but it's supposed to be because of what it is.
Right.
It's like amplified. That's what it is.
Yeah. You're right. It's dense, aromatic. Yeah, and so yeah, I mean, they're using stone brick ovens, roller mill. It is fermented in their wood vats without fibers. Double distilled copper pot.
Now, how they do the infusion? They tell us that they sent us some nice sell sheet. The infusion is actually done in while the tequila has been distilled and rested in a stainless steel tank. They teabag it. They take the blue agave in a cotton bag and just dump it in there and let it sit. And apparently, it's only a matter of hours before it gets to this color. They're constantly, according to the notes, it's constantly being monitored to get it to the right flavor, and then it's filtered. They pull the bag out, and then it's filtered so that there's no floaties in your bottle, which is kind of sad, because I was really hoping it'd be a nice piece of agave in there, and that's not how that you can't even get it across the board.
Yeah, no, it's perfectly clear. Yeah.
The design is I guess the closest thing that we can refer these animals to is, if you're from New Mexico or you collect Zuni fetishes, animal fetishes made of stone. These are the ones that they make in Oaxaca. Usually it's balsa wood, if I'm not mistaken, and they're called alibrijes. And these are spirit animals. And you know what I like, Bryce? Take a look. It's you see this dome here on the bottom. When they hand applied the label, they make it seem as if the spirit animal is balancing himself on this hill, on this, I guess it's a symbolic volcano or something.
Yeah.
And I didn't even notice that until after I took some pictures, and you probably seen them on the Tequila Aficionado Instagram. And I looked at them, and all three of them, I took them from a couple of different angles, and all three of them looked like they were standing on the peak of this dome, which I'll say symbolically looks like a volcano.
Yeah, there's some symbolism there.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have a price point at all?
I didn't look it up, but I want to say like 55. Are they 60? 55, 60?
Probably.
Pretty comfortable with saying that.
I think off camera we'll take a look and give you some pricing if it's even available yet, because I know you had it in Texas. We, I guess, have not had it in California, and from what the information that Dan told us, they're getting ready to roll it out across the U.S. So, but anyway, is there anything else we want to say about this? I think it's, you know what? Hey, never mind. Here's what we're going to say. Brand of Promise nominee. This is
definitely
special infused tequila with agave. Stick with us though, because we've got a couple of other expressions and they're going to be infused with a couple of different agave, and I'm really looking forward to that, because this one is really the tried and true. I think I'm going to wind up having to get a bottle just to keep as a tool.
Right. I think everyone's definitely going to need to get this one for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. It might open you up to see, well, what else is out there, or anybody who's may never go to a distillery and will go, well, what's it taste like, what's it smell like? This is it right here.
Yeah, or this might just change your mind on the quality of infused tequilas.
Yeah.
This is really well done.
It is, and I've had infused mezcals and bacanoras, and some of those pechugas, and those are all celebratory, and they're not available all year long, and they're expensive too. This is something that they can that you can have all year long, and like I said, this is cut and dry, just beautifully done. That's our take on Curado with the Agave Azul, but stick with us because we got 2 more infusions to go through. But anyway, if you folks have seen it, if you've had it, tell us if you're watching us on YouTube, please let us know in the comments, what you're doing with it. Are you putting it in that cocktail? What are you doing? You float it on something? Are you just sipping it? I think I would just sip this. This is a really good instructional tool for me, but I think it's got enough boldness and character. Bryce, you could probably do something with this, right?
Yeah, I would think maybe even like a chef, like use it in baking almost.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of the notes I'm getting. Like some desserts.
Wow,
Yeah.
look at this guy. Thinking like a gourmet. Anyway, folks, you've been watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media on all of our channels and networks. Please subscribe to us if you're watching us on YouTube. Hit the notification bell. Give us a like. Follow Bryce. Tell him what your handle is again on Instagram and your
Austin Tequila Connoisseurs.
If you haven't followed him, you must. And Bryce does a lot of reviews too. So as you can well tell by his Zoom background. So because it isn't real. Mine, on the other hand, is. But anyway, please subscribe, follow us on TA as well, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and whatever you do, tomar sabiamente.
Sip wisely.